everyone. Today, I got out of a car and I had been to 2 or 3 events, and one in Nashville, one in California, then one in Florida, then one in New York. And what I started to see at these events, which is people sitting around tables toasting, I started to see a common theme, and I want to share it today on this. I got 9-minute riff. This is a 9-minute riff. It's called Africa and Us. Yeah. Or how about Africa, the Caucasus, and Us? How about that? So the Caucasus is often known as the place where white people are from, Caucasians, which is totally not how anyone understands that region whatsoever. But if you want to understand it that way, you can. Some idiots, aka atheistic scientist types from the 18th century, thought of it that way. You can do it too if you want. You can do it. You can drive around and or I don't know, sit in your easy chair and be like, white people in Caucasus. Or you can trust me. It's not the way people think of it there. Just like in Africa, people don't think of black people as coming from there. That's odd. You wouldn't talk to like a Songhai or a Bambara and go like, black people. They wouldn't really get it. That's not a category that they're using until they meet a white person who calls themselves white. Why do I bring this up? Because these two very disparate places, you could say it's very different places, they have something in common in my experience with them that helps to illuminate now what we have in common in the West. In America, this is it. It's going to elude your race categories because it's not about race. It's about confidence. In my experience of living in war-torn Georgia and in, let's call it, post-trauma-filled Sierra Leone and Mali during their rebellion in the 90s, is what those folks share is a common lack of confidence in their leadership. And in fact, I might argue that at no point did any of them ever feel any confidence in their democratically elected leadership. The Georgians have a premise of goes way back of being ruled by, let's call them kings, just as the Africans have, the West Africans that I know in West Africa have a long lineage of being ruled by kings. And the only thing that they had confidence in when it comes to those systems was the fact that the king, something like, held their interest in their royal kingly hands as a type of father. So the Georgians, like, say, the Malians, both understood, say, Tamara, King Tamara, or, say, Mansa Musa as having their common people, their best interest in mind, because Tamara was the king, or in this case, she was a very unique king because she was a woman. They call her King Tamara because out of honor, but she was their mother, their blood. She knew them as they knew her as one. Same for Mansa Musa in ancient West Africa and Mali. Same for all those systems. And the connectiveness, the willingness to raise arms and go and get killed on behalf of your king, it didn't come because they have the right policies. I've adjudicated and I've assessed their policies. And in assessing, I see clearly that their policy is in alignment with my desires. Anybody hear the marketplace in that? The marketplace being is, you give me what I would like, and I will in turn pull a lever, demonstrating my loyalty for you. Except, here's the key, it's not loyalty. It's not honor. Those things are what people give And those things become deficits, often material deficits in the giver. But they become spiritual, ready? Spiritual profit. Because when I give you honor and I offer myself to you, I gain spiritual profits at often a material deficit. This system, it allowed for a type of unity, a willingness, right, to give one's life. Now, in America, how much time I got left? Are we still going? I got time. By the way, this and all of our podcasts are sponsored by Conrad's Beef Jerky, which I would like to say is loyal to us, though they do give us a little bit of money each month, which may make our relationship market in nature, merchant in nature. Does that decrease my loyalty to Andrew and his family? It might. If the rubber hits the road and they don't donate to First Things, will I still advertise on their behalf? You feel me? It's a great question about this marketplace. Here's my point. Is what I've noticed of late throwing Supras all around the country is that if there's a common denominator at the table, this is among, let's say, Baptist, Bible-beaten Baptists who aren't drinking wine except for when they come to the Supra, because after all, it's a cultural event. Don't tell anybody I'm doing it. Between those Baptists, they're there at the table. The LGBTQ plus RXVW1 over divided by 5, wearing an army jacket, that person too, like the Baptist, that blue-haired person too, shares what also the businessman from BMW. Hi, my name is Richard from Munich. They come to the table because they're executives visiting. I'm running out of time. I got to get this finished, but you get my point. I can throw in all the mix. I can throw in all the mixes. I can throw in the whites and the blacks and the Mexicans and the rich and the poor. I can blow them all in. Here's what's happening right now among my tables I'm really like I'm a noticer. I'm an observer of human nature these days because of these Supra tables. If you know, then you know. Everybody doubts their king. There is no loyalty whatsoever. Everybody, even the ones that like the king, the Trumpster, or Biden, the clueless one, no matter what flavor you're like, yeah, I don't really like him though. I don't really trust him. The common denominator is the common denominator of all these democratic attempts in Georgia and the democratic attempts in West Africa. What I've noticed is those places have dispelled their kingdoms and in place tried to be democratic, and none of them trust their democratic leaders. There is something afoot. There is something afoot where the actual nature of democracy is no longer being even